afternoon, and welcome along. My name is Tim Breakspear. I'm the Assistant Director for Professional Development for INCOSE UK. And today we're going to talk about the Deputy Finance Director role for INCOSE with Andrew Pearce. Andrew, if I could get you to introduce yourself, explain a little bit of your history, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I'm Andrew Pearce. I'm currently the Deputy Finance Director for INCOSE UK, and I guess also soon to be IfSE. So I've taken up this role for almost 2 years now, and I will be taking over from Phil Savidis as Finance Director in November. So my background is all in systems engineering, obviously being a member of INCOSE UK, and in that time I've sort of transitioned from technical system engineering roles into a more business operational project leadership positions in systems engineering projects, and currently occupy a position in my company as a group director, so I have profit and loss responsibilities and operational performance responsibilities, which are all sort of good skills and experiences to do the Deputy Finance Director role and eventually the Finance Director role. I guess that's a very short introduction to me.
That's all good. Could you describe more about what the Deputy Finance Director role is? What do you do on a day-to-day or month-to-month role for INCOSE?
So I guess there's a cycle to this role. It's the least systems engineering role of all the council members, I think. So it was start of the financial year. So there is setting the annual budget, so helping the finance director to look ahead and set the budget. We're trying to move to a bit more of a sort of a 3 year out budget view. So there's work to be done to sort of look at how we stretch out that forecast and look what we're going to be doing over the upcoming years. So see, once you've set the budget, then at the quarterly council meetings, there is updates on how we're doing against that budget and reforecasting. And part of that is also to sort of give the council confidence that we have a sustainable business and that we're managing the funds that we have accordingly. And so we go through that 4 times a year. Outside of that kind of budget setting cycle, there is a need to pay and approve invoices. So there's a bit of online banking required. So things I think everybody's pretty familiar with. The main bit of that's I guess not in everybody's used to is paying the big INCOSE. So we have to pay INCOSE a portion of our membership fees, so we have to pay that in US dollars. So there's an element of transferring money between accounts and then working out when the best interest rate is to transfer the funds. There's also work involved in looking at the contract we have with our secretariat, so supporting the I guess the definition of the services that we need, and being involved in the review of the proposal from secretariat. Alongside that, we have to, on a monthly basis, meet with our accountants, which is a function performed by our secretariat, to just go through anything finance related, and make sure we are progressing as we should. Conversations around VAT and tax returns and stuff like that is all new things to me that I've learned in the job. Then as Deputy Finance Director, you also are part of the events committee. So you sit on the periodic meetings and organisation sessions for ASEC. So you get insights into the process for that and get involved in helping to set the budgets and things for ASEC, which is quite an interesting thing to get involved with. And then there's elements of attending the directors' meetings and doing good things like risk and opportunity management for INCOSE UK and IfSE. And whilst we are currently, we're still in that sort of transition phase, moving towards IfSE. So there are elements of the role which involves looking at finances around that, because that's probably the biggest investment INCOSE UK's made. So there's a lot of scrutiny needs to be given to that to make sure we are keeping everything on a sustainable footing. I think that's pretty much most of the stuff that you do. It's kind of anybody's worked as a project manager probably knows the things you have to do on a monthly basis. Invoicing, look at your costs, and all that good stuff. So
I think it's fair to say that the finance is the thing that keeps the whole organisation ticking along. So speaking personally from the professional development point of view, the relationship and how we keep the secretariat supporting us through that is vital. So ensuring that they're there is key to certainly my role as well. So very much thank you for the overview. Slightly random question: what do you enjoy most about the job? What is it that gives you that sort of satisfaction?
So I guess the most enjoyable part of the meeting is the council, being with the council members and actually contributing to helping move forward systems engineering. I think that's the most enjoyable thing that I get out of the role, because I think that a lot of the other stuff of looking at budgets and contracts and all those bits and pieces, risk and opportunity, it's all stuff that I do in my normal paid job. But the bits that I guess are different to what I normally do in my day-to-day is attending those council meetings and being involved in conversations and decision making around how do we move forward systems engineering. And I think we're at a point of this move to being IfSE is a good step for us, and there are lots of untapped opportunities for us, and some of that I think is in the finance roles. You can help to unlock that and encourage that a little bit. Some of it is around where can we make more money, how we can get more revenue in. More revenue in means we can do more things to enhance systems engineering, and I think they're the bits that are kind of give me the most enjoyment.
That's fair. That's all enabling system engineering and the development. I think that's pretty much where everybody who's involved in the organisation is involved, and that's a common thread as we go through. So what have you learned about INCOSE UK and soon to be IfSE through being in this role for the last couple of years that you maybe didn't expect to learn, or something that surprised you?
I guess kind of start with naively, I probably didn't realise the amount of policies and stuff that we have, and you have to review and keep up to date and stuff. And so, that's the kind of, probably should have gone in with my eyes a bit more open on that one, or thought about it a bit more. On the finance side, the most thing that I've not been most familiar with is all the kind of, I guess, the more all the banking stuff and things that are different to personal banking. So VAT returns and merchant accounts and things to do with that, and having meetings with our accountants and stuff. It's all of that is pretty new and learning. Tax returns and setting ourselves up for IfSE and everything you need to do for that, seeing all the effort and the background stuff you have to do just to get to a point of being able to stand up the organization. We also got exposure to the events side of things, and so as in finance, your role in that is, I guess, relatively small. You're concerned about the budget for it and how we're doing against that and things, but you do sit on all the calls and contribute to conversations about who is going to be keynote speaker, what is the theme, and so you get to see that event start to take shape, which is good. So obviously, unless you're inside, you can't see that. I guess the other things that are new to me and stuff, and that is it's given me a chance to be a reviewer for papers at ASEC, which is something that is good, and it helps me to do some actual systems engineering, I guess, which is always enjoyable. So they're the kind of the things that I've learned, I guess, most around it. And I guess it's also sort of seeing the effort and the contributions other people make to the council roles. So in professional development, seeing you and Steve sort of turn that from what it was into something that's very successful, and is a key part of what we offer. I think that's seeing that and how that works has been good, and something that you don't get to see from the outside. Hopefully that answers the question.
It does. I say a similar story from myself, from understanding how things work and how much effort it takes. You're like, oh, okay, there really is quite a large cast of us doing quite a lot of different roles to support the organisation and help improve. So yeah, I totally understand that. This may sound as again slightly odd question. What's the thing you've learnt about yourself most from doing this role over the past couple of years? Because obviously it's not a role you need to do for your own career progression in your own organisation. It's an outside. It's more altruistic than that to give something back to system engineering. So what's the thing that you've learned about yourself most?
I guess the origin of me coming into this role is that in my company role, I was speaking to Malcolm Thomas, who was president at the time, and our UCAB point of contact, Alex Catley, was talking about what's the value we get out of our UCAB membership and the individual memberships we pay for our staff, and how do we make sure we're active in all the groups, so interest groups or working groups and things, and really contributing to the growth of systems engineering, and then also how do we also get our company brand out there as active in systems engineering. That identified the fact that there was a hole in the council and deputy finance director, and it was a case of I can't ask other people in the team to do more support in their spare time if I'm not willing to do the same. And the role fitted with my experience and stuff. So that's how I kind of ended up in it. And starting out that conversation with Malcolm and Alex, I had no intention of having a council role. But from that process, I kind of took it as a chance to I guess show some leadership in sort of actually give up some time to contribute to it. And I guess that's the kind of the thing that I've taken away from this, of actually sometimes you just need to do stuff yourself, and hopefully that's a good way to encourage others to be active in it. And I also discovered that I don't really like tax and VAT and conversations around that. But I guess most people are the same. So
sort of last question from me would be encouraging people to throw their hat in the ring, as it were, to become essentially your deputy going forward. What can you say to people to say, actually, this is a good role, this is fun? What sort of people are you looking for to help you carry on the good work that you've been doing for the last couple of years?
Yeah, so I think, firstly, working with the council is enjoyable. I think the council members are all good, nice people, and they're all there, like I said earlier, to really help move forward system engineering. So I think being part of that it's a good thing to do, and it's a nice place to work, and everybody's pulling in the same direction, which is great. I think to do this role, I think this has been one of the hardest roles to fulfill in the council. I think partly because it is probably the least systems engineering here. We're not trying to do the professional development system engineers. We're not looking at technical publications and stuff. We're making sure we have enough money to be sustainable. It's just the least, I guess, just to be part of that perspective. But I think if you've been in roles where you've been a project manager, you've had responsibility for that monthly performance of how you're doing against your budgets, I think it's a good experience fit for people. And I think it's, for anybody who's now a chartered engineer, I think you should have done enough, had enough commercial awareness to be able to fulfill the roles of the deputy finance director role. And I think it's a good role to really understand that the things that make INCOSE UK and eventually IfSE work and be that sustainable business. I think you get a good insight into each of the different areas of the council, because they all are either cost centres or revenue centres for us. So you do start to develop that quite a broad understanding of what each director is responsible for. So I think if you then wanted a different role on the council, I think you've got good exposure to those once you finished your 6-year term as a deputy finance director and finance director. I think it's a good position for anybody who wants to come in and try and help the organisation to grow. I think, like I said, you get to touch on a lot of different areas. It's the experience that you need. You should have been able to demonstrate if you become a chartered engineer, because you can't do that if you haven't demonstrated, I guess, your C competencies. And there are lots of system engineers out there who are, I guess, more in management-y positions, and I think it's good that it means there are roles on the council that you don't have to be a visiting professor of systems engineering or something to apply for and be successful. It's a good role to get into. And from what you see, somebody who's keen and eager to get stuck in it and learn, and we get a lot of support from the secretariat. So they'll deal with all the things like merchant accounts and stuff. So you just have to understand what you need them to do, and they're very good at making things happen. So don't be put off by kind of concerns around, I don't understand merchant accounts and all VAT returns and stuff, because that's all the stuff we get support for. And just generally somebody who's keen, eager to come in and help the council.
Oh, superb. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's always interesting to speak to someone in role for roles that are coming available. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you.